Item number, SCP-549 Ursa Minor. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-549 is to be kept at all times in its terrarium. The terrarium was created after previous containment proved to be insufficient. The containment plexiglass is to be checked for fractures every day at 0600 and 1800 hours. Any sign of stress or wear are to be reported immediately to one of SCP-549's handlers. The terrarium is to be kept filled with miniature foliage and ground cover resembling that of northwestern North America. Fabrication company is to be used for repairs on the terrarium's interior. A stream has been engineered to run through the terrarium, the water of which must be changed daily using only filtered spring water. The terrarium is to be kept in a 15 meter by 15 meter room, placed on a stable support platform capable of holding up 2 metric tons in the event that SCP-549 begins to throw its weight around. The containment room should be lit in accordance with the day-night cycle and climate controlled in accordance with conditions in northwestern Canada. During summer and autumn months, SCP-549 requires upwards of 70,000 to 80,000 calories per day in preparation for its hibernation period. Because SCP-549's special situation, it is inefficient to provide the nutrition in the traditional means. It simply takes SCP-549 too long to consume that much material. Currently, its diet is provided in the form of salmon fillets which have been passed through, thus drastically increasing the caloric content of the fish. In winter and early spring, SCP-549 requires little or no care, though monitoring should continue as per usual. Personnel assigned to SCP-549 must take all care not to disturb its den by any means. As a result of Incident 549-72, the mauling of Assistant Researcher by SCP-549, all personnel assigned to SCP-549 are required to watch security footage of Incident 549-72 as part of their orientation. Description: SCP-549 appears to be a miniature version of Ursus arctos horribilis, or grizzly bear. In stature, it is approximately 17 centimeters in length when standing on its hind legs. However, SCP-549 has a mass in line with an average adult grizzly bear, in summer around 305 kilograms. It consumes as much food as a full-size grizzly would and is able to exert all the same force with its claws and bite. This presents a number of problems, since its strength is concentrated over a much smaller area. Several of SCP-549's first enclosures were destroyed because it exerted far more force than expected of so small a creature. The walls of its current enclosure, treated with have proven more able to resist any attempts to escape, though as long as it is fed regularly and not provoked, it seems content to remain in the terrarium. SCP-549 was recovered in Canada, along with several other miniature animals. Though agents on the site were unable to determine the cause of death for the others, SCP-549's dietary requirements suggest they may have died of starvation. Professor theorized that SCP-549 survived because it was in its hibernation state at the time when subject had a collar affixed similar to the other with the etched designation Ursa Minor, Dr. Wondertainment's Micromenagerie. Several personnel were harmed in trying to remove the subject from mostly because of its great weight and strength. How SCP-549 seems to be of the same mass as a normal bear, but occupying a smaller space, is currently unknown. Dr. believes that it may involve a warping of time and space, rather than true shrinking. How physical laws have been circumvented is unknown, but tests are currently being formulated.
Welcome to Redacted and Expunged. I am Michael, and with me, as usual, is Tristan. How you doing, Tristan?
Good, how you doing, Mike?
Pretty good, and just out of my fake energy, just spent it all as usual on the intro. Okay.
Yeah, normally I do these when I'm like really hyped up on caffeine, but it's almost 11 at night, so I'm not gonna do that.
I'm just dead inside, so I can only muster up so much happiness. And of course it's fake, but you know.
That was it for the week.
Yeah. All right, man. We're back. I mean, it's been a few months, but we've broken out of our containment, got free, managed to record this episode.
And we're currently being tracked, so it's only a matter of time before we disappear again.
They'll probably just let us at least do this one episode and throw us back in.
That's a code word for us being absolutely too lazy to keep doing this.
All right, so we got a little tiny bear this week here.
Okay, so you had given me a list of SCPs, and you told me to pick one, and I picked this one based on the name, which is Ursa Minor. And I picked that because I kind of misinterpreted the name. I thought it was the one about the galaxy that was like trapped, like a tiny little galaxy kind of thing, you know?
Oh.
So I thought it was that, and then I read this, I'm like, wait a second, this isn't like celestial at all. So we're doing this one because I'm an idiot.
I like it. It's a cool one. It's a little tiny bear that's the same as a big bear, but
Oh yeah, it's absolutely a fun one.
Fun.
I just wanted to know that I'm kind of a moron.
All right, so
One thing I wanted to throw in, it throws in some measurements. First off, being the terrarium being 15 meters by 15 meters, that's about 49 feet by 49 feet.
okay,
So that's a pretty large room. Like,
and the bear's only what, like 7?
It's 17 centimeters, which translates to 6.69 inches.
Okay,
And then it says it weighs, what was it, 305 kilograms,
yeah, so
which is about 600 something pounds, which is, the weight of a regular bear. I wanted to get that out of the way with all the measurements, because normally we're, total dummies with these measurements, and I wanted to get on top of that this time.
yeah.
Yeah, and I just for our audience to know, I actually took notes on this SCP, so I'm not going to be as totally unprepared. But also I did make these notes about 3 months ago, so I am absolutely unprepared.
All right, so I guess we'll start going over the article.
Yep.
Go on the first paragraph. I always wonder with the thing, what did they do to fail the first containment procedures or the first things terrariums failed? You should figure how strong this thing is and just go overboard and or let's do plexiglass with steel over it and with bars.
Well, maybe it failed because they underestimated how strong it was. They're thinking okay, well, this thing's 7 inches tall, so it can't be that strong.
But I guess also they had to do a plexiglass thing because they had to still try to make it think it's still in the wild, so they couldn't just do wood walls because it look like looks at what the hell.
You got to be humane. It's still an animal, even if it is a tiny animal.
Yeah, and I always wonder with the terrarium, on the outside, do they have like a fake sky above it? Like I said, the lighting has to be day-night cycle, but I always wonder there's a LED screen over the ceiling with a fake sun going over the top, just so the bear just has it fools the bear more.
That's actually kind of a good idea. I was thinking it was just like a cell with just slab gray concrete walls. Your idea is a lot better though. I feel
I just imagine like a domed IMAX kind of thing.
Oh yeah, at those museums and stuff.
Yeah, and I imagine it has something like that, and then like a plexiglass course so the bear can see through, and maybe just is painted on the sides just mountains far off or whatever.
Yeah, like a facade kind of thing.
But yeah, it'd just be interesting to be in there to see this thing just slam into the thing and just shatter it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is that they just underestimated how strong it would be.
All right, so 15 meter by 15 meter, so it's 49 feet. You're 7 inches tall. I wonder if that would make him think, he has enough space to be, content. He doesn't feel like he's imprisoned or anything.
I feel like if you're 7 inches tall, 50 feet is kind of a lot.
It is.
My thing is how a bear that size can consume 70,000 calories.
So I did check 1 pound of salmon is 943 calories.
Oh, okay.
When it's going to hibernation mode, it's saying 70 to 80,000 calories. Was that per day? Yeah, so they got to figure out how to, squish down 70, 80 pounds of salmon so this little guy can, eat it in a reasonable amount of time. Because, a little bear couldn't sit there and eat 80 pounds of salmon. It'd starve to death before it can probably finish it all.
I wonder what it is that they pass through it to drastically increase the caloric content.
What's that SCP where you can put something into it and then there's these dials you can break it down or enhance it or something like that?
We should have looked up what that SCP was because now we're just gonna sound like a...
And it's a really popular one too.
Yeah. Hold on, let me look it up real fast just so we don't sound so stupid. That's SCP-914.
Okay. So they can use SCP-914 to squish down this salmon into a amount that the bear can consume in a reasonable amount of time. And I also looked up stuff like trail mix. I wonder if they could do that because trail mix is 2,000 calories a pound, and I know bears eating. Bears can eat anything. All right, so it looks like a little no care because you don't have to really clean up its cage. I'd imagine.
Yeah, you just got to change its water every day.
Yeah, you just got to do a little filtration system, so that's not too bad.
It sounds like it's easier than owning a cat, frankly.
Yeah, just don't pet it or let it get a hold of you or anything. But hold on, I want to go back using only filtered spring water. Does the bear know? Is it no man, this is, whatever?
Bears are very picky about their water.
What were you say about the incident?
So it doesn't really explain what the incident 549-72 is. But the fact that it makes the personnel assigned to 549 watch that incident, my first thought was, it reminds me of those red asphalt videos that you have to watch when you're taking driving courses. I don't know why. It's the first thought in my head was just...
I could see the video. It's sure, it looks cute. Sure, it's tiny. but it can rip your finger off.
I also kind of like to think of like those old 50s like employee videos. They do that, but with like the bear mauling somebody.
I kind of imagine that's like how like almost all the SCP ones are, at least like the ones contained in the 50s, like 549 and you got some guy in a lab like, hi, I'm a researcher, like, hi, I'm just Troy McClure kind of video.
Man, if we had like any sort of like motivation, we could make videos like that, but we're not going to do that because
a budget,
and I just don't feel like doing it. I can barely do a podcast. I'm not going to do a video format.
Yeah. I mean, I'll sit there. Yeah, I'll just sit there. Like, I'll do video of just me sitting there.
Even then, that's a bit much.
But I always wonder, like, the mauling, what happened. Maybe it was early day terrarium stuff. Like, some guys, like, had his face up the thing, and the bear charged at the glass and just, like, broke through it. Mauled the guy's face off.
Something that really weirds me out is that it's 549-72. Does that mean there was 71 other incidents with this bear?
I guess, but incident could be small. It could just be as simple as, like, a bear slashed the guy's finger off. Maybe not off, but, like...
Well, it's still a pretty big incident, though.
It's still an incident, but it's not like 72, like, containment breaches or... anything could be a small incident. Maybe when they were testing it, they... I don't know. I can't say they picked it up. All right, so anything else on the special containment procedure section?
No, I'm good on that.
Okay. So we'll go with the description. So we got this, it's just it's a normal bear, about, would you say, like just under 7 inches tall?
Yeah.
It weighs like 660 pounds. I always wonder, like, with stuff like that, like, how it would work. Like, something that small, if taking it, like, with that much weight, like, would it break stuff when I'd walk over it? Because all the weight's just concentrated in one little area so much. Like, if it tried to hit you, like, what would that feel like? Like, would it run faster because it's smaller, or would it be slower because it has a smaller, smaller legs and all that stuff?
I don't know, like, if there is science behind this. Like, that's all kind of like science fiction sort of stuff.
That's always one I ask, like, it's like, well, we should get someone that, like, knows physics or whatever. We just make, like, a separate part of the podcast. I also just cuts to, like, an interview of, like, us talking to some physician, then we just go back to the show. So we don't actually have to have the guy on.
To a physician or a physicist?
I'm sorry, a physicist. We can get physicians on too, because that might be helpful in some of the SCPs, but...
Yeah, we're absolutely not qualified for this.
No, not at all. It talks about how... Well, it says it's treated. It's
treated with something.
With data expunged. So it has to be something special. I mean, I figure you just use really thick plexiglass. I mean, that'd work, I figure, because it's just a normal bear at the end of the day. I mean, as far as its, strength-wise and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know it's small, but, I mean, in zoos, they have, I guess usually they have those pits with zoos.
Yeah, usually they're kind of, like, below.
Or just have a big moat, but, I mean, I'm sure, like, it's SCP. I mean, they could just easily use just super thick plexiglass. But I guess they want to be all special and use data expunged material.
So you were talking about the location earlier before we started recording. You want to go over that again for the listeners?
Yes, there is a redacted part which has 11 characters on there. If you want to figure this stuff out, just use a crossword puzzle solver, and it'll help you figure out what potentially the writer had. Maybe the writers said, okay, 11 characters random, but if you want to get fun with it, you can make up some places. So some of the places were, they're all, of course, in Canada. Battle Harbor, Charlottetown, Fort McPherson, Fort Vermilion, Grand Prairie, Shefferville, and Trois-Rivières.
That one was fancy.
Yeah, it's French, so I think it probably means 3 rivers, I'm assuming. But yeah, also some stats about a bear also had, they're saying a bear can lift over its body 500 kilograms. So that's 1,100 pounds. So let's imagine this little tiny bear, like, lifting over something, over its head. And then they said a bear could bench 1,200 to 2,300 pounds. Kind of depends on the species. It's just like a rough estimate I was getting off of bears.
That's still really impressive, though, like for a regular sized bear, let alone one that's 7 inches tall.
So even this little guy, he's throwing around 1,000 pounds, like, no matter what.
So, I mean, this is a bear that can really screw you up.
Throw him in with some, 150 plus pound person, and kind of funny to see what this thing would do.
So it talks about how it has a collar that says it was part of Dr. Wondertainment's micro menagerie. I wanted to touch on Dr. Wondertainment real quick because he's a recurring character, or it's a recurring. I think I'm not sure if it's a character. We need to do like
it's like actual... the company name, and it is alluded to like it seemed like one. It's like one guy. I always kind of imagine like the Willy Wonka of
right, yeah,
of SCP. I mean, I don't know, like if he has some magical factory, but he's always making these like magical toys or toys with these special properties. Like we got a bear here that spends space time. It says.
This is a character / organization that shows up several times in the SCP universe. Eventually, I want to do like a lore video on Dr. Wondertainment because it just seems kind of like fun and whimsical.
That'd be cool.
Like so many of SCP articles are kind of like doom and gloom and like super scary, while this is just kind of like a fun sort of thing, you know?
I mean, I'm surprised that was the Thing Maker. I don't think that was a Dr. Wondertainment.
I don't think so. I don't remember seeing the name Dr. Wondertainment.
Well, if it's not, that totally went up the alley of Dr. Wondertainment.
Yeah, it seems like something he would make. I just really like that he was kind of making like a tiny little circus.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Just
like that's absolutely what he was doing here, was making a little circus.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to make toy versions of animals, you know, in a way also.
Yeah. It's like those old timey like flea circus kind of things, but with like tiny little animals.
I mean, it'd be cool to have tiny little animals as like, you know, pet, like a bear, you know, it's like.
Yeah, just a tiny little bear that could kill you.
Well, but minus that, you know, but like its strength and stuff would be actual relation to its size, but
a tiny little bear that you can't hug because it's, you know, 500 pounds heavier than you.
I think it was literally a comedian that talked about like having smaller version animals, and he was talking about like a bear, and he said like, oh, when it mauls you, it's cute, not dangerous, you know, because it just like maul your ankle. That's like the best it could do.
And I was doing a little bit of reading into Dr. Wondertainment, and it was talking about how like Wondertainment stuff doesn't really have to make any sense. So it's the idea of fun takes precedence over the idea of making sense and like being cohesive, which is I'm kind of into that a little bit.
All right, so at the end it says, I guess not really an addendum, but the last paragraph here.
Oh yeah, that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, it seems like it's bending, which makes sense than true shrinking because it still needs the caloric intake and still can exert the force and all that stuff. But yeah, it's getting kind of interesting. Like, how would someone shrink something but not really just size wise shrink it, but it still has all the same properties of everything else? Just size relation stuff has been changed. I always wonder, like, how would you? It's not like you blast him with a shrinking ray and he's now tiny, but I mean, maybe you did blast him with a shrinking ray and that's like, well, it's not perfect, but
it's kind of one of those like sci-fi tropes of just like, just talk about space-time and that's a good explanation for, you know, what it is.
But I mean, like, if you think about it though, with shrinking in a way, you would be messing with space-time because, I mean, at least you'd be messing with the space aspect of it.
Yeah, but this is...
I don't know, because usually people think of space, they're thinking about like teleporting, wormholes, you know, like alternate modes of travel. I wonder if space would consider as like, you know, objects. Again, we're not smart science people here.
Yeah, I have no idea. This is way above my pay grade.
This is why I wish we had like a live chat with a bunch of people so they start screaming at us about how dumb we are. It's like, no, it's this.
At the same time, I'm kind of glad that's not a thing we do.
I guess that's anything else you want to throw in about the article, discussing over it?
No, I figure we can jump into the creation to containment.
Obviously, this thing was created by Dr. Wondertainment, but then I wonder how it got out. I always kind of imagine it's kind of a sad story. Like Dr. Wondertainment, I gave it to some kid or something like that. The kid's like, oh, cool, I got these like little animals. Maybe he always wanted a pet or something. His parents would let him have a pet. So I gave him all these little like tiny animals to work with. But of course, the kid didn't know about the whole like, hey man, you gotta feed this thing, 20 million calories a day or they die. And maybe they start dying on his watch and he starts feeling really bad. Because they said they found him, them other animals. So yeah, the bear wasn't alone. I imagine the kids, kind of freaking out and he's like, well, maybe if I throw them back out in nature, they'll figure it out. They can take care of themselves because they're wild animals. So the kid just kind of like releases them out or whatever. I don't know how he transports them with them being as heavy as they are, but maybe he has them outside the whole time or something. At the end, he releases them out in the wild. And then, of course, the bear survives because it just goes into hibernation and SCP comes along. And
yeah, I kind of feel like it's just one of those sad stories about people who take on a pet that they really can't handle and then they end up dumping it.
It's kind of like that, but it was like that situation's forced on the kid because, like, I'd imagine the kid, of course, wants to take care of the animals, but he just, like, doesn't know what's going on. It's like, why are they all dying and stuff? And it's kind of the opposite. He just opens the cages and, like, oh, maybe you guys will be better out there than me taking care of you.
Yeah, I feel like that one's, like, the creation is covered in the description of this. Like, we know how... Not how specifically, but we know that it was created by Dr. Wondertainment, and that kind of takes out some of the mystery.
I always imagine him also like in like a cute box when he first like give them to him. It's like in a perfect little toy box. You got the little animals like it's like in their little plastic wrapping or little sections.
Going along with my tiny little circus idea, they're being transported by a tiny little train.
Oh, they could be transported. There's another SCP, which it's a dump truck, but it's just tiny. It's like the same concept. Maybe that's how he transported the box to the kid.
There you go.
I always wonder what other animals there were. The giraffes. I just imagine it's a bunch of like circus animals or just...
Yeah, like a lion, elephants.
Exactly, yeah. Like common animals people would be like, oh, this would be cool to own, but it would kill me. I would want a little tiny elephant. That'd be... Because at least they're smart. You can like teach them stuff.
Yeah.
And you can like intimidate it because like you're super big, so never like attack you.
You want to hop into the interactions with other SCPs?
Yeah, we can do that. I was just going to talk about how that dump truck one, if you want to do a true circus act, you can get the bear to ride on top of the little dump truck thing. It's a little tiny toy dump truck. So they're about the same size. They have the bear just sit on there and I don't know. I think it's remote control. So, I
You don't happen to know the name of, or like the number, right?
No, I don't. It's
Okay.
I want to say it's from Series 1.
See, I was thinking about what would happen if you put it into the bank, like the weird bank that we talked about a while back.
That's true.
Like, I'm kind of thinking you would just get back like a regular sized bear.
You get, like a polar bear, or like
600 pounds of bear steak.
or you'd get, or what you get a bunch of normal little bears. So like, let's say like 7-inch bear would be like, let's just say, 5 pounds. It'd probably be heavier, but 5 pounds. Then what you'd get like 100 and something of little bears, because it would take the weight of the bear and then divide it and then split it up. So it's, I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but
Yeah, I'm super confused right now.
I don't want to go into full like math formula, but you just get a bunch of little bears instead of one big heavy strong bear. You get like little bears with normal size and strength.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking of like putting it into like a death match with some of the other SCPs we've talked about, like the worms or the fungus, but I can't really see this bear really faring well against those.
No, I'd get over. I mean, it has the strength, but it would just get.
I mean, the worms would just like melt it with the acid they leak, and the fungus would just absorb it like really easy, I feel like.
And even if the bear did break its way out of the fungus and stay away, I always imagine again the fungus would be growing its lungs or whatever, and in the long run the bear wouldn't be doing too well.
No, that's really all I have written for that one.
And then I guess a candy bowl, just kind of.
Yeah, it's not going to do anything against the candy bowl. It's not even going to be interested in the candy.
Oh, it's a bear. No, I'd be interested in the candy.
Do bears like candy?
Yeah, they eat everything.
Okay. So the bears are like goats.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I mean, they're just total scavengers. I mean, they hunt too, but I mean, yeah, dude, Winnie the Pooh eats honey. That's loaded with sugar. It's scientifically proven by Disney that bears love sugar.
Okay, Mike, I'm gonna pitch you a movie. All right.
Okay, lay it on me.
So I'm thinking the movie about this bear. It's going to be about like an eccentric billionaire, just, somebody who's super rich, has dumb money and just does dumb shit all the time. Like, billionaires do. He makes these tiny animals and then he tries to train them to be like his little traveling circus, right?
All right.
And then the climax of the movie is all the animals turning against him and just murdering the shit out of him.
I like it.
And as I wrote this down, I kind of realized that's
Puppet Master?
Puppet Master, yeah.
Well, I was kind of semi-joking, but
it's basically just Puppet Master, but with tiny little animals.
I imagine it'd be a kid's movie. It'd be more like lighthearted. I mean, it wouldn't be like, starving animal stuff. Just a kid would have this small little like Indian in the cupboard kind of thing. He has this little this little thing. Maybe like some scientists figure out, about it. And it's like a ET situation. Like, we want him to study him. The kid's like, you can't have him. In the end, maybe the end, like the kid's like teary eye letting the animals into the wild so the scientists can't get them or whatever. And then they all just get eaten by rabbits or something.
Right.
Because they're so small.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking kind of like a darker, like, horror B movie.
That's, I was trying to think of something like that. I can't really think of too much.
So when we talk about this kind of thing in other media, well, not in a perfect example, the first thing I think of is Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing, he's tiny, but he still has the same amount of strength, and I think he has the same, no, he doesn't have the same amount of weight, but he has the same amount of strength, and it's just kind of like the only thing I could think of that's like similar to this.
See, that'd be pretty cool. See Ant-Man riding around on 549. I guess next would be survival. So if me and you ran into this thing...
Oh, we'd be fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be like a normal bear, but the thing is, though, it's small.
Except we wouldn't see it coming.
And we wouldn't see it coming, but the thing is, would the bear not attack us? Because it's like, whoa, this huge titan's walking by, or something. But also, would the bear still think it's huge? That's the one thing I wonder. Like, was it born this way? Did they take a adult big bear and then shrink it down into, it's 7-inch size?
I'm going off of the incident 549-72 where, somebody was actually mauled, where I feel like this bear is probably fairly aggressive.
It probably, but I mean, the 54972 could have been the bear was sleeping on its back and the guy reached in and tried to rub its belly, with its finger or something.
But like, okay, say I'm out in the wild, or not even out in the wild, say I'm just out on the street and I see a tiny little 7-inch bear. My first thought is that it's like a toy or something, and I'm going to reach down and I'm going to try to touch it. A tiny little bear, it's going to be cute, so I want to touch it, and then it'll, tear my hand off. So it's...
I wonder if the strength and speed could outrun us. I mean, of course, a normal bear can outrun us easily.
Yeah, I imagine it would still be able to outrun us.
Just this little thing... just move his arms, his legs really fast, but
my main survival tip on this is don't go to Canada.
Don't go to Canada, or just keep food on you. When it starts chasing you, just drop the food. Just drop some
good old cartoon drop dog solution.
Yeah.
Keep a bunch of sausage links in your pocket.
Okay. I mean, sure, you might attract the bear.
It's a catch-22. Okay, it's double-edged sword.
It's small, so if you just drop the sausages, it'll go for the sausages. Because usually it's not smart to just run away from a bear, because that's just going to make it go after you.
Yeah.
But in this case, you drop these little sausages into the bear. It's just these giant, it might be like elk. You're just dropping a bunch of elks in front of it or something, just...
So there you have it, folks. If you have to be in Canada, make sure you keep sausage or salmon in your pocket.
all the same rules as a normal bear. Trip your friend, throw the food. Maybe if it really thinks it's small, just yell at it, and I'm sure it'll just turn around and run away. There's videos of bears running away from like cats and small dogs, so you can just get a good startle,
And one of the main things about like running into wild animals out in the wild is like make yourself look bigger, and you're already bigger than this bear, so you're kind of good, I think.
But to play it safe, still just make yourself look bigger.
Yeah, and throw sausage at it.
Because we don't know the whole space-time. Like I said, it still might see itself as a big bear, even though its perspective might, he's looking up at you.
All right, so let's hop into ratings.
Ratings, yes.
So containment, how would you rate the containment on this thing?
I was thinking also the containment ranking, it's about SCP guys bringing it in. That's like also a factor about it.
Okay.
I don't think I factor too much with it because it's still just a normal bear. Like, it wouldn't be too hard for SCP to deal with it. I would say containment. He's got to give it a plexiglass. I mean, you just have a pet bear essentially. I mean, compared to other SCP stuff, this isn't too bad. I mean, it can kill you, but it doesn't have any special powers or anything.
What I'm thinking is, for its size, it takes up an awful lot of room. I mean, it's 7 inches tall, and you have to give it 50 feet. Like, I feel like that should factor into the rating, because that's a lot of room for something so small.
And then you have to require using something to compress all these calories of food into something smaller.
Yeah, so there's a lot of working factors in this that kind of bump the numbers up for me.
Yeah, I say it's not danger, like, the danger factors, but just, the upkeep and containment. I would say, I'd give it like I would say maybe like just a 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'd give it about a 4. Just because there's a lot of working factors in this.
4? Okay. All right. So then next would be danger.
That's danger out in the wild, right?
This is danger in containment, like with the SCP dealing with it. So I would imagine it's not too dangerous.
Oh, yeah, no.
They just got plexiglass and, just don't touch it. Just
If we're going by danger in containment, I'd give it like, I don't know, 2 or 3, because it's not going to hurt you, but it can kill you if you're stupid about it.
It's still Euclid, so yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
All right, so 2. Last would be suckiness.
I'm gonna say this doesn't really suck at all.
It's just
like you're hanging out with like a little bear. Like, that's kind of cool, actually.
You just hang out with the berries, make sure its water is changed. You got to deal with the whole special dietary stuff. But I mean, that doesn't really suck. It's
not gonna talk to you in the voice of like dead loved ones or anything, and it's
no.
not like it's not gonna put you into a thrall. Like, it's just a tiny little bear. You get to hang out with it,
And if it is, think it's small. If it sees you looking through the plexiglass, it's probably just going to run away or just think, oh, what the hell?
Yeah. So I'd say the suckiness would be like a 1. Like, this doesn't suck at all, honestly.
I give it a 1. It'd be pretty cool to work with it.
Yeah.
They signed me to 549. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. It would be like watching a nature show, just tiny.
Might get a little boring after a while, but I mean, if they're paying me good money just to sit there and make sure, a bear is a bear.
Yeah.
All right. So now, at the very end, of course, we got to give this thing a little nickname.
Yep.
As if we were employees working there, instead of calling it 549.
Yeah.
We're sitting there in the break room. What would you name it, Tristan? You got any cute names for it?
I was trying to come up with some sort of stupid pun to go with, like, Ant-Man or Paul Rudd or something Ant-Man based, because the first thought I had of this was Marvel's Ant-Man. The best I could come up with was Ant-Bear.
Ant-Bear.
So that's not great.
I mean, you could do like Mini Bear or like you call it like, I don't know. I'd probably just call it my little Care Bear or something.
That's kind of cute, actually.
Like I just call it my little Pocket Bear.
Ooh, Pocket Bear. I like Pocket Bear.
My little Pokemon.
Yeah, we'll go with Pocket Bear. I'm cool with that one.
Pocket Bear. All right, man. I like this SCP. It's just
it's a cute one.
It's a cute little, it's short, simple. It's just don't mess with it.
Yeah. One of these days, I want to talk about Dr. Wondertainment in general, just to get more in depth on that. One of our lore videos.
That'd be cool.
So look out for that someday. Probably not soon, but someday.
All right, man. So that's it. SCP-549. So thank you everyone for tuning in to Redacted and Expunged.
We have all of our social media in the description, because I can't remember any of it off the top of my head.
I meant to put in the OBS, but I just didn't have time to edit it.
Yeah, it'll be in the YouTube description, or if you're listening to this on Podcatcher, it'll be in the description for that too. So come join us on like Facebook or Twitter or something, even though we never actually post on there.
No, not really. If people start going there, we'll probably start posting on there.
Yeah, we did get like a couple new likes, which is what made me want to start recording again.
Nice.
All right, everybody, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. You won't see us.